Hey guys, Casper here, and we are here on another round of our Popit menu items, and today we're going to be talking about global stuff. So I'm here splashing around in a little bit of water because that is one of the global stuff items. So let's head over to Creative and check it out. Okay, the blank creative level. So let's push square, open up our Popit menu, and up in this upper right corner is our global stuff menu item. So we push the X button and we've got 5 pages of items here. The first 2 pages are characters and sack pocket items. So our characters is if we want to create a new character, say we do something to a sackbot and we dress them up and we have them do all kinds of things, we can save them right here. And it works the same way as if you were saving an object that you created. You just select him, you can change the size of this box and make sure that he is completely captured within this dotted line. And then you can also move it around with the joystick. So you just capture your guy, push the X button, and it will be saved. Although it doesn't save you. So I tried to save me, it doesn't work. So, and those guys appear right down here. And then when you come into a level or into a game, you can pick one of these guys, and there we go. Now I'm Swoop, and I've got all the things that Swoop can do, which is pretty cool. So let us, actually I'll go here and get back to me, if that works. Okay, so now I'm Swoop, and now I've got all the Swoop costumes that I can choose from. So I have changed that, so what we need to do then is we need to go back to Sackboy, and then your costume's back. So let's move on to the next page, which is sack pocket items. We'll get into this later as well. This is, you can create your own custom power-ups and you can save them here. So you can capture your sack pocket item and it will appear below these. So if I really wanted to equip, say, my illuminator, I just click it here and here it is. And definitely looks a little bit different than it does in the levels because this is showing all the circuit boards and everything that actually goes on when you're programming one of these sack pocket items. So we will go back in here and see if we can unequip that. Well, we'll do it this way. There we go, unequip. So moving on, we get over to our organizer Tron. This is something we'll get into in a while too, but it's good to know that it's here under global stuff. You can add a quest, which is a cool new way of making levels that are connected to other levels, or a pretty involved level where you've got to have different objectives to complete. So we can change our quest titles once we add a quest, our objectives. If you go under quest title here, let's see, where is it? So we can hide them, we can unhide them. There we go. So when the whole thing is selected, then you get these other items that come up. You can hit the square button to tweak it a little bit. And then there's some other options. We'll get into this later. We can test our quest. And if you want to delete, you can always delete it. And yes. So next we get into gameplay controls, which in this whole menu, this is everything about how your level actually plays when people come on. So you can have it be a cooperative, like a normal platformer level. You can have it be a versus level, so that you're competing with your other players. Or you can just create a movie scene, and you can set that all up here. And we can also enable our sack pocket and other items. We can say the minimum and maximum number of players, if there's a time limit to our level, and if there's a score limit to our level. So we can set all that up here, and once we get more into the score bubbles and things like that, we'll talk about that. So we can set our gravity level here, which is kind of a cool thing. We'll just pop that over to 0, and then we just do a quick jump, and we're in slow gravity mode. Which is kind of fun, due to a level. And we can also add water, which is fun as well. So here's the water that I had added in the beginning. And we can change, if we want it to be wavy, we can add that in. If we want it to be a different color, we can do that. Or if we want it to be murky, we can do that. If we want little bits that are floating around in the water, we can change that. So all kinds of fun things you can do in the water. So we can change our light, whether there's light waves. Then this last little bit is the dynamic thermometer, and what the thermometer is all about is, if you look over here on the side, zoom in right over here, this thermometer here, when you start adding things to levels, this thermometer starts building up, and if you push it all the way to the top, so if a lot of your pieces that are on screen or in your level are complicated, then it's going to heat up the level, which just means that the program has to work harder to make it work. So what you can do here is you can have this be dynamic, so what it does is it only brings up the things that are on screen, and everything else is just kind of shaded out, and it doesn't use a lot of memory, and it doesn't use a lot of information all at once, so it kind of helps your levels move faster. So it's a pretty advanced topic, so we'll get into that at some point. Then the last one is our global controls, which we can adjust our lighting here, which is basically the direction of the sun, as you can tell by how my shadow's moving. Or you can also have just darkness, so the shadow doesn't move, but it just gets darker and lighter. And we can also do fogginess, so the fog rolls in from the back layers to the front layers. And once you've got fogginess, you can also change the color of your fogginess. So, good way to add atmosphere to levels. And we can also do color correction, which is just for funky, artistic looking lighting options that you can't get by using just your standard lighting. So, another cool way to add some atmosphere to your levels. A great way to add it is to use different backgrounds. So these are things you collect in other levels. I've got these from a lot of different DLCs, and a lot of the old Little Big Planets show up in here as well. So we'll just pick one here, for example. Usually it takes a little time to load, not too much. And then here we are, we're in kind of a nice winter land. And some of the levels seem to have kind of a border. I'm not exactly sure what that is yet, but they may correct that at some point. But one thing you can do to tweak these levels is now you can actually move these backgrounds left and right. So say if you want to come out and have the beginning of the level actually have something in the background that you like, which I don't really see anything here, so we'll bring it back to 0. And then we can also move the levels up and down, and we can move them in and out of layers. So let me try and zip back to where I was. So we move the background down, or we can move it up, which if you go up too high in some levels, there isn't anything down there. So, and then we can also move it in and out. So say you want to start right here, right next to the bushes. You can do that, and then you just have the level start like that. There you go. So, next thing we can take a look at is our camera zooms. Here's where you can kind of set the scene as far as how you want your camera to behave. You can set your standard zoom, and zooming in and out is done with the L1 and the L2 button. So we're zooming out with L1 and we're zooming in with L2. And then we can also set our maximum zoom, so we can say, you know, we don't want it to zoom in any further than this. So then that way, if you're building a big level, you can kind of keep it zoomed out like that. Now the depth of field, if we change this and we increase the depth of field in the back, then it fogs out things in the back and keeps the focus on the front. And then the opposite is true with depth of field front. So then you fog out things that are in the front so that you're focused on things in the back. or you can just have your focus be on the players no matter if they're in the front or in the back. And then, so that's cameras, and moving on to audio. There's a lot of audio in here, and we'll get into a lot of these different things. One of the fun things is you can set your default ambience to be, you know, the different underground sounds or different kind of garden sounds. Inside oven sounds, you know how often that comes up. So, and then that's, you know, the rest of it in here is just basically how you want your sounds to show up in the actual levels, and we'll get into that a little bit more detail as we go on, and we start talking about music and background sounds and dialogue volume, things like that. So anyway, that is our global stuff. So hope you like this video, and we'll keep moving on with other things as we move forward. So please like and subscribe for more videos, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.